your home, but it can affect both buyers and sellers. And here with more on that is Dot Frank. She's a realtor with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Alliance Group. Hello.
Hello.
Did you know that there's a presidential election coming up?
No, I
aware of
haven't
that?
seen or heard anything about
Yeah,
that.
they're talking about that. They may actually have one here in a couple of weeks. Okay, what's been your experience as a realtor? What has been your experiences as far as how, depending on who wins, can be swayed?
Yeah, so I think what's really interesting is, people don't always make decisions based on facts.
True.
And so I'm excited today to play a little game with you, true or false, because we'll disclose some truths from falsities. But I think what I have witnessed is people just anecdotally are hesitant to make any decisions because they're waiting to see what happens. And I think what's really interesting is when you dig into the statistics, and there's plenty of them, so Realtor.com, Zillow, all of these resources are tracking the impact of elections on home sales. You're going to hear some really interesting statistics that may or may not support people's reluctance to make a decision to buy or sell.
Okay, now you hear, depending on who wins, interest rates are going to do this or that, and that plays a role in how people go about wanting to buy or sell a home. Is that one of the big deals?
Yeah. So in fact, let's start with our game. So you've got a couple cards that I want you to hold up, either true or false.
Right,
so
I'll have both.
Historically speaking, do interest rates increase or decrease leading up to an election?
Oh, well, is that a true or false?
True or false?
Well,
true or false? Do they? Oh, I got to rephrase my question.
Yeah.
So, historically, interest rates decrease leading up to an election.
True.
True, that is true. So
Okay.
you'll see that interest rates typically decrease leading up to an election.
I would guess the party in power wants it to look better going
There's
into
all
the
sorts of
election.
dynamics that are happening, but historically speaking, that's true. So about home sales. Historically speaking, home sales decline in an election year.
True.
False. So,
I meant this one.
so home sales, historically speaking, stay relatively the same, irregardless of whether or not it's an election year or not.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
The only caveat is November, and November typically slows down naturally.
Just because of the season.
Because of the season, and it might be attributed a little bit to hesitation with elections, but over the course of a year, very little changes between election and non-election years.
Do we have another one?
Yeah, let's do another one. How about home prices? So after an election, home prices decrease. True or false? False. You're right. So after an election year, home prices tend to appreciate and home sales tend to pick up. And that might be because we typically see a trajectory with home sales that's ever growing, albeit some years where there might be something that's leading up to it from a market conditions perspective.
It just seems to me, and this is just totally a guess on my part, but once all the hoopla is over and all the bombardment we get of commercials and things like that, people can get back to their lives and they can say, all right, let's get the house ready.
Yeah, so we make decisions based out of fear and emotion, not necessarily facts. And that's when it comes to buying and selling during an election year. Take a deep breath knowing that most years, historically speaking, there's little changes between what's transpiring as a result of what's happening on national news. Now, I will say one thing that's really interesting is local elections and local changes, particularly in ordinances, can have an impact. And so that's one thing that's going to be really interesting this year. I think in our state in particular, are there some significant ordinance changes that might have an impact on housing because there's some direct relationships there.
What are you feeling? We're down under a minute. What are you feeling from your clients as far as, are they leery or are they ready to go?
I think they're kind of following status quo, which is leery in November. But again, there's nothing substantive that's suggesting you slow down your search or your sale. So really kind of turn to your real estate experts. We have the opportunity to look at all these statistics and provide some really good peace of mind to help give you the confidence to move forward.
Final question. Does Dot Frank know her stuff? True. Give her a holler. All right, thank you, Dot. Where do we find Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Alliance Group?
So you can find us in North Bismarck at our new location, or you can find us online at BHGAllianceGroup.com and on any social sites.
All right, thank you so much. That's always interesting to talk about this kind of thing and just see what trends we're finding. So appreciate your time on that. All right, coming up.